Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are making a delicious twice-baked samosa potatoes in the air fryer.
It's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Hi everybody. Today we have a sponsored video by Kyvol. This is their new AF600 Kyvol Smart Air Fryer. They reached out to us to make a special recipe for them to use with their machine, and today we're going to make these twice-baked samosa potatoes. But before we get onto that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this machine. The Kyvol AF600 Smart Wi-Fi Air Fryer has a convenient viewing window to check on the cooking process, with 360-degree rapid heat circulation, a large durable ceramic-coated 6-quart basket for family-sized portions, 12 multifunction preset cooking programs, and is more than just an air fryer. You can air fry, bake, grill, roast, dehydrate, and reheat. So to start our recipe, we're going to start with 3 just, standard size russet potatoes. And I just rinsed them off lightly. You want to keep those skins on, preferably organic, because then you don't have to worry about them having any kind of weird sprays or anything on them. So I just lightly rinsed them off, and I'm just going to poke 2 little holes with a sharp knife, just so that they don't, they don't blow up in here. Okay, then I'm going to take the basket out, and I'm just going to set these down in the basket because we need to bake these first, and then we'll cut them in half, and I'll show you how to do all the rest. Put it back in here. We're going to turn it on. Okay, and we're going to set it on the highest setting at 400 degrees. So you just push the temperature control and then turn the dial to 400 degrees. Then you push the clock button, and we're going to cook these for 40 minutes. So just turn the dial until you get to 40 minutes and then push the dial. Now we just wait. Okay, so our potatoes are finished. So we're just going to open this up. Set it here, and they are very hot, so be careful when you do this stage. You could actually wait until these are cooled, but if you're doing this for dinner, you want to just do it as you have the time here. So I'm just going to set these here. Whew, hot potato, hot potato. All right, so what we want to do is we want to cut these in half lengthwise, and I'm just going to do that. The skins are nice and dry, so it should be pretty easy to do. You need a pretty sharp knife. Let's cut each one of these. And then we're going to scoop out the center. Okay. All right, here we go. So, like I said, this is going to be hot, so you have to do this kind of gingerly so you don't burn yourself. And when you're scooping these out, you don't need to scoop all the way to the skin. It's actually better if you leave just a little bit of potato in there, because it gives the potato still some structure so that it can hold what you put back in it. So we're going to scoop it out and put that into our bowl here. Okay, you can see that. See how there's still a little bit of potato in there? Okay, so we're going to do that with each one of these guys. Don't want to lose any of that valuable potato there. These are so delicious. This is my absolute favorite appetizer to get when we go out to an Indian restaurant, are samosas. I just adore them. The only issue is that there's a batter layer, a breading layer I should say, that is deep fat fried. So they are fried in oil, and that breading, apparently it doesn't soak up that much oil, but it's soaked in oil, and you don't really want to be eating all of that excess oil. So I came up with these potatoes so that you can have all of that flavor. And when these skins bake for that second time, they get that texture like the coating of a samosa, you know, like the breading part of the samosa. You know, it's kind of chewy, it holds it all in there, but then you get all of the delicious flavor of the samosa with none of the fat. So you don't have to worry about it. You could eat as many of these guys as you wanted without worrying. And they are delicious. And that's why we're making 3 potatoes here, because this is just for my husband and I. And we will both eat 1 whole potato. And then we'll have another one to split for leftovers tomorrow. Because trust me, they're so good. You're gonna want to have them again tomorrow. And it's just really simple. Even with this Kyvol machine, there is a reheat setting on there, so you don't have to even use your microwave. This is like a little mini oven. You could just stick them in there for maybe 5 minutes or so to reheat them, or you can eat them cold. They're good cold too. All right, there we go. So we've got that in our bowl. Now we're gonna add our other spices here. So some of the spices, and if you want the full recipe, it will be in a link in the details below. So we've got a 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, or I'm sorry, a fourth of a teaspoon of turmeric, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, 1/2 teaspoon of garam masala, 1/2 teaspoon of ground fennel, and if you want, you can also put a 1/2 teaspoon of ground coriander. My husband just is one of those people that thinks coriander tastes really funny or really bitter, so I don't put it in there, and it doesn't really miss it, but if you really like the authentic version, go ahead and throw the coriander in there, and even maybe some chili powder to give it a little bit of heat. And then we have 1 tablespoon of green chilies and a teaspoon of very finely minced ginger. So that'll give it a little bit of kick. And then we have a 1/2 cup of, these are just frozen peas, and you don't even have to defrost them. Just put them in there still frozen. It's kind of good actually when they're frozen, because then when you mash this mixture together, they don't smush. They stay whole. And then we're just gonna put about a teaspoon of tamari, or you could use a low sodium soy sauce, that works too. And then 1/4 cup of low sodium vegetable broth. And then we're just gonna mash, I've just got this potato masher here. You just wanna mash this together. It doesn't have to be like, you know, like mashed potatoes where it's really smooth and creamy. This can still have a little bit of chunk to it. So we're just gonna mix that up pretty good. Oh, all those spices, it smells so delicious. Okay, scrape that off, and I'm just gonna stir it a little bit with my spoon. Okay, make sure I get all those green curries mixed in there. Okay, so the next part is a little bit messy, but that's okay. You're just gonna get a little messy. So I'm just gonna get a pretty decent scoop onto my spoon here and put them into our little potato boats here. And I'm just pressing it down with my hands because the mixture's a little bit dry. So if you don't mash it down, it just, you know, when you move them back into that basket, it just gets messy. It just falls all over the place. So you want to use all of this mixture and just divide it between these potatoes. I'm going to finish doing that, and then I'll show you how to get it back in the air fryer and for how long. Okay, now we've got them done. Now we're just going to place them back in our basket here. And there's just enough room for all 6 of these to fit perfectly. Look at that. Amazing. I love it. Just enough. Okay, so we're going to put that back in the machine. Turn the power back on here. And we're gonna go same thing. Turn your temperature back up to 400 and then timer on 15 minutes. And then push start. Now I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way and I'll show you how to make the delicious tamarind sauce that we're gonna pour over the top of these delicious potatoes. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our new Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting members. By becoming a supporting member, you gain access to great member perks like monthly product giveaways, free downloads of our ebooks, and access to our in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. We create this show for the hundreds of thousands of viewers just like you who tune in each month from all over the world to make it easy for everyone to live a plant-based lifestyle. So if you love our content, please join us on our mission and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, it just beeped, so our potatoes are ready. Oh my gosh, you guys gotta come in for a look. Oh my gosh, they smell so amazing. Oh, and you can tell they're just perfectly done. So I'm gonna set these aside over here. And I'm gonna make my next favorite stuff for this, and it's the tamarind sauce. I cannot have the samosa without this delicious tamarind sauce. So tamarind is, I don't know if this qualifies as a fruit. I would guess it's a fruit. But you can buy this concentrate. Some regular grocery stores have it. If not, you might have to order it online. I'll give you a link in the details below. Or you can go to an Asian grocery or an Indian grocery to buy this. But this is key. It is the secret. So I'm just going to use my NutriBullet because it's a very small amount. You want to use a smaller type of blender. Okay, what do we got here? We've got 1 tablespoon of tamarind concentrate. It kind of reminds me of what molasses looks like. I mean, I suppose it's probably very similar because I think it's just the tamarind juice cooked down really thick, so a lot of the moisture is cooked out of it. So it's super, super intense, kind of tart. Okay, then we've got 5 deglette dates. These are the smaller dates that are already pitted. If you have medjool dates, probably just 1 large medjool date, or if they're medium-sized medjools, 2. Just gonna put that in there. Teaspoon of green chilies, and you can use the mild ones or the hot ones if you like a little bit more spice to your food. Then we have 1/4 of a teaspoon of garam masala, and just about probably a 1/2 teaspoon of tamari sauce. Just a little bit of saltiness. And then we have 1/2 cup of water. Okay. And if you like it really spicy, you can always add just a little bit of chili powder to this too. But I like the heat, this level of heat, because these chilies, these green chilies have a little bit of heat to them. Okay, now we're just gonna mix this up until those dates really are pulverized. Let me get all that tamarind concentrate off the bottom there. Stick it back in. There it is. Super simple. Now this sauce right now is really watery, which is just fine like that. But as it sits, because there's some pectin or something in the tamarind and the dates, it will get a little bit thicker, but it's perfectly fine to use it just like this, like I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna grab a plate and I'll meet you at the table for a taste. Here we go. Time to taste. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Okay. But we have to taste it with the tamarind sauce on there. And I like lots of it. You just soak it in there. You can also have, some people use like a mint chutney. That's delicious too, but my favorite is the tamarind. Oh my gosh. So many flavors. You get a hint of the sweetness from the peas in there. You get the tang of the tamarind sauce and all the spices in the potato. And then that skin, It's just like eating the wrapper off of that samosa, but without all of that grease. So tasty. Be sure to give this a like, and I'll see you next week for another great recipe.